what started as a myth, uh, or started as a tale of Archimedes, the famous Greek scientist and engineer. Uh, this story has been known since around 1200 AD. There's no record of it existing before, although Archimedes was living around 2000 BC,
Hmm.
which is another curious factor. Now, certainly things have gotten lost over the past couple of millennia, but why don't we know anything about this happening earlier? In fact, we just don't know all that much about Archimedes. We're just not
Hmm.
even clear he actually jumped out of the bathtub and shouted Eureka and ran around down the street naked when he'd figured out the problem. But there are these stories of him uh, doing a number of military things, and it was pretty clear he was a military engineer and scientist. And so the story goes that Archimedes, who was living in the Greek city of Syracuse, when the Romans came and were trying to just conquer the city, they were besieging the city and the harbor. Somehow he got used some burning mirrors, which would probably have been polished soldiers' shields,
Hmm.
and set the ships afire that were sitting in the harbor.
Right.
Well, no, we don't have any particular details, but it's an intriguing tale. And, if you've ever played with a magnifying glass in the sun, you'll know, yeah, you can use sunlight to burn things. You can burn holes through paper. So this sort of makes sense. And since at least the 1700s, scientists have actually tried to duplicate it. Uh, there was a French scientist back in the late 1700s, and he claimed he made it work. Other people later on claimed it wouldn't work. And of course, then Mythbusters got on it more recently, and Mythbusters said it wouldn't work, and they proved it wouldn't work. And then MIT decided they'd try it themselves, and they made it work.
Huh.
So there's a picture of uh, these this model of a wooden boat that's starting to catch on fire from the light. Once the sun decided to finally cooperate here at MIT, I'm based in the Boston area, so sometimes we have more weather than others. And the first few times they didn't get any enough sunlight, but finally they did, and they ignited this boat. So what really happened? Well, you get different results with different test conditions in any scientific experiment. And, the Mythbusters wanted it to not work. And there's ways you make sure it doesn't work. And MIT wanted it to work, and they tried harder. So it worked. But really, we don't know whether this whole thing ever happened at all. It's
Hmm.
an intriguing story, and it's somewhere at the level of plausibility.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of the whole science of the whole efforts to make laser weapons or beam weapons or directed energy weapons falls into that category of, well, it seems like it should work, but will it really work?
Yeah.
And that's the way this thing has gone on for a long time. So in the back around 1900, there were a lot of scientists who were uh, discovering new types of radiation. We discovered infrared, I think, around 1800, but radio waves and X-rays came around late, very late 1800s, 1900s, and they discovered alpha rays and beta rays and gamma rays as they started working with radioactive materials. So
Hmm.
we're thinking of all these new kinds of radiation, and could you make a death ray? Well, that was uh, with all the new technology that was coming around. They were wondering about that.
Hmm.